Hello, I'm Angela and I'm a brand ambassador for Do Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how to make a box bag that actually could be turned into a light if you chose to. I'm going to use a combination of Do Crafts papers and cardstock, and I'm going to use Anita's metallic cardstock for the main body of the box bag, and I'm going to use the Modern Luster collection to make all the embellishments. So let's get crafting. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this was actually a die, and it's a box bag die, and I know X-Cut have several of these different dies that you can use, and you can see that once you die cut them out onto the cardstock, they don't just cut out the shape for you, but they also emboss the fold lines. That means when you're making a dimensional box, you don't have to score those lines, they're already pre-scored for you. Now I've cut out two of these, and we're going to work on the top one to start with. So I'm going to put away the die because I don't need that now, but I've chosen two papers to use on my front of my box bag. So I'm just going to turn this around, and I've put some tape on the back, and I'm just going to attach these as a panel to the front. I've cut them ready to the right size, and I've chosen, it's very interesting working with these papers because they come in gold, they come in silver, they've got geometrics, they've got stripes. Actually mixing them up gives you really interesting effects. So I'm going to place this on the front. I'm just going to line it up, make sure it's straight. And then I'm going to take the top panel. Actually, I could probably just use my stick to attach this top panel on. Now, what you might be thinking is that I had a window in that box bag. So we are going to have to create a window. So what we're going to do is place that on, make sure that it's stuck down. Now I've only put it around the edges because now I'm going to take a rectangular die and I'm going to place that on the top, centered to the whole bag. So I'm going to cut through the two pieces of paper and the main body of the bag. Now, we've all got our own techniques, but I actually use sticky notes because I find that they don't mark my paper. I can cut them to any size, and there's a sticky part that will just hold my die in place. I'm going to put this onto my machine, and I'm going to cut out that center panel. Let's take my die cutting machine, place it on, and we're just going to cut out that center panel. Now, all machines are different, but with one pass, this should cut through all those different cardstocks. So let's just see what we've got here. So you should have nicely cut for us. We've got the panel cut ready for us. Now, it doesn't seem to have gone all the way through there. So what I can do is I can just use my craft knife to get that very last bit, but it's beautifully cut the front bit. So I'm going to just get my scissors or my craft knife to take off that last bit, but that's not a problem. Let's put away my die cutting machine because I don't need that there. And we'll just take off that last bit. It's only a couple little places, but it was quite a challenge for the machine to go through all three layers, but this part won't be seen because this is at the back. So we'll just trim those last bits. I could have done it with my craft knife, but my scissors work just as well. We'll take them off the other side. There it is, it just pops out now. So that's removed that back panel. And that's the part we didn't need anyway. So now we have a perfect aperture cut with those two designs. And now there's the exciting part, because in this new collection, there are lots of lovely vellums. And vellum is a really interesting medium to craft with because it has a translucency. You can see through it. So to put lights behind that, that was my moment of thinking, let's see if I could create a box bag that would show through. So vellum is a very interesting background. We're going to add that to the window. So I've added my self-adhesive tape to the front of the vellum. I'm just going to peel those off, and we're going to stick this as our window. Now, another interesting thing just you could do with vellum, you can colour vellum with your markers if you chose. So you could actually, in fact, make almost a stained glass window with that. Let's add that to our box bag with the coloured side facing the outside. And now you'll see we clearly have our window beautifully done, and we've got that translucent effect that's going to let the light show through. As I did before, the bag will fold all the score lines are there. I've just got a couple of extra decorations to do to the front. So I wanted this to be a thank you bag. So what I've done is, you'll notice in the paper collections, you quite often get alphabets. Now what's great about these is we can personalise items. You can put any message you like to somebody. So you could say, thank you, Mary. Whoever, for this occasion, I'm just going to say thank you because I don't know who I'm going to give this to yet. So I've taken just some of the strips and I've put the letters along the strips, and I quite liked, again, using that metallic to give that contrast. And to show you exactly how I did that again, just using some of the striped contrasting paper, I've stuck the strip on, attached, which are self-adhesive letters with a thank, and I'm just literally going to cut that out and use that as the second part of the sentiment. And again, all the papers cut beautifully, there's no feathering. They're really lovely papers to work with. And I just love mixing up the silver and the gold. So we've got our sentiment. To attach those to the bag is really simple. I'm using some double-sided foam dots because it's quite nice to get a little bit of dimension. And I always put my sentiments on before I finish embellishing a project, because then you really know how much space you've got left in your project. Peel off the back of the foam pads and attach that to the front of the box bag now, because I've made this quite interesting. This is all about style. So we have the thank going there, and then we'll take the U and we'll put the U down the bottom. Sort of missing a gap. It sort of needs something else. So one of the things that quite often you'll find again in the collections are extra elements, and we've got some bows that are already pre-die cut for you. Again, going a bit different with the silver. I've chosen the silver dotty, and you'll notice that there's a hole in the middle of both the top of the bow and the tails of the bow. And what these papers allow you to do, just shape them and curl them, and you've got little holes on those sides. And if you take one of the little brads, I've taken a gold one, pass it through the top hole, turn it over, put one side on, put the other side on, and you can see how the bow is forming. And then if you wanted to shape it, you can shape the ears of the tails just by using your finger. And because the cardstock's so lovely cardstock, it does actually hold. Put the pattern side down and then place through, open up your brad, and now that is ready to attach. And again, I'll just use one of my foam pads, attach it to the top of the bag, and we've now got really cute embellishment. I love that. I love that polka dot look. So I think for the front of my bag, that works. I'm happy with that. I've got the sentiment on there. I've got the embellishment. I've got that lovely window that's going to show through when I add my lights. Now let's work on the back, because I have a theory. If you're making a card, the inside of the card should be as good as the outside. If you're giving somebody a gift box, sometimes it's nice to make the back look as interesting as the front. So again, using the same template for the main body. And again, this time I've chosen the similar papers, and I'm going to create a background. I've put some double-sided tape on the top one. The reason I put double-sided tape on the first one is because it's layered against metallic cardstock, and the main one is always going to get more wear depending what you put inside as a gift, or if you are using the lights. Then take the dotty. I'm going to use again it's really just easy, oops, keep that to the side, tiny bit extra glue, don't want that to go on my mirror card unnecessarily. Take that to the side, add that back on, and the contrast of those dots as well works really well. Now for this part I thought, well, what about a gift tag? I actually haven't said who the gift box is from. So what you get in this collection is ingenious. So you get pre-cut, pre-scored pockets. So you can see you've got a pocket here, so I could actually put a gift card in there. How nice would that be if it was a coffee card? I'd be quite happy to receive that, but it could just be a tag. So I've put some tape on the back, going to put that onto the middle there. Then I thought it looks like it's floating. It doesn't look like it's held down. So, and I wanted to coordinate with the vellum on the front. So going back to why I do some of the things I do, I think sometimes you look at the pattern of something and it almost talks to you and it says, can you cut me into a ribbon strip? So I've cut a ribbon strip from that lovely hexagonal vellum, and I thought that would make a really lovely, almost like a little ribbon or a binder to hold that in place. It's not actually doing it, but it looks like it is. So we'll put a tiny bit of tape. Now the reason I put tape again, vellum is quite dense, and so I really want to make sure that it stays in place. Doesn't need much, but a little bit of vellum, a little bit of tape on either end, and then we'll attach that to hold that pocket. It just makes a finishing touch, and it adds another texture to almost match the vellum that we've used on the front. So we'll put that on that side and that on that side, and now I've got a cute ribbon across there. Last thing is, where is the tag? So there are some tags in the collection, and I have got one that I have selected, which is here, but I had a problem with it. It doesn't have a hole in it, and I wanted to sort of have it in there with a pull tie. So we've got some great tools in Xcut, and this is an ingenious tool that enables me just at a couple of pushes down to create a hole in my tag, and I now can pass some ribbon through. I've actually got some silver ribbon here, or cord. I'm going to pass that through. Make a loop. Once you've got the loop, put the two tails through the loop. I find this is the easiest way to do. I'm not that keen on doing bows on tags. I like to have a looped tag. So now I have the loop in my tag. I can write to who it is, made with love for, and pop that inside the pocket. So now I have the front of my bag, the back of my bag, and should we see what it looks like when it's finished? So the only thing I added was some little LED lights on a battery inside, and that I think makes a great gift bag for somebody. I hope you enjoyed watching my demonstration.